Alright guys, so welcome to the next Q&A that was from my Patreon. As always, if you guys would like to be part of the next Q&A, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, where you guys can hit the first tier. That'll allow you access to do so when I announce the next Q&A subject, as well as check out all the other stuff on the first tier, which are like polls that affect videos over there and is over here on YouTube, as well as like movie reviews and episode reviews. I don't think I will be doing reviews of Star Wars Skeleton Crew, probably because I think I might like that show, but I don't. But like I'm a little still burned by Acolyte, so maybe I'll just do I'm kind of contemplating just doing a season overview, because I will see how I feel if I want to do episode reviews or not of Skeleton Crew later on. But yeah. Anyway, let's talk about this Q&A, and it is the Danny Phantom Q&A. I've been wanting to do a Danny Phantom Q&A for the longest time. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions, and let's not waste any more time with first set of questions coming from Imagine8, who asks, after learning that Danny is the ghost boy at the end of the series, do you think Dash and Paulina would instantly try sucking up to Danny, or do you see them as feeling genuine regret for how they treated him? I think it's a bit of both. I think it could easily go both ways. Although we do see in the reality trip special, they did genuinely like, oh shit, you're the ghost boy. Come on, we'll help you get away. So I think it would be. I do think that Dash was obviously based off of Flash Thompson. So I do think how it would probably go is Dash would be like, man, I was a dick to you. Paulina would suck up. More ways than one, but let's not go there. But Dash, I see having trying to be legitimately dude, I'm sorry, man. Paulina, I think, would eventually get to the regret part, but I think it would be try sucking up. Second question. Do you think the evil future version of Danny could defeat the Ghost King on his own? I think that was the original, that was implied. I think it was implied that he did defeat the Ghost King, Pariah Dark. I think that was implied, and I definitely know they bring that up in the comic. I haven't read it, but from what I heard, they do reference that the Dark Universe, the Dark Timeline Danny killed or defeated the Ghost King in his timeline, or something. If I remember, I haven't read the book, so I can't be exact on that, but that's what I heard. So yeah, totally. Third question. Did Danny Phantom do the Clone Saga better than the 90s Spider-Man in the 90s? Yeah. The best way to describe Danny Phantom in that Danny Phantom story is just a condensed Clone Saga. It is literally the Clone Saga condensed into a more viable, in a much more viable and more digestible form. Seriously, I do not know how they managed to, how they fucking managed to do a more coherent story than, I know there was a lot of other factors going into the Clone Saga, but yeah. So, to answer your question, yes. Thank you for those questions, Imagine8. Moving on now to Luke Morehouse, who asks, what is your personal headcanon that you believe in Danny Phantom? Personal headcanon that I believe in Danny Phantom. I believe that the Ghost Zone is purgatory. I genuinely believe that it is meant to be purgatory. That's my firm belief, is that it's meant to be, limbo between both worlds of the, heaven and hell. So there you go. So that's the headcanon I stick to. Second question. What do you think is Danny's obsession, what Danny's obsession is? Because that is a thing that a lot of people are trying to figure out. A lot of people are saying it's space, protecting space, or acceptance. I think it's a mixture of all three. I think that's what Luke is trying to say, is they're trying to figure out what Danny's drive is. And I think, yeah, it is him trying to be an astronaut. It is him trying to find acceptance for who he is. That's you can have multiple obsessions, trust me. So that's what I think. Third question. Do you believe in the headcanon after Danny defeats Pariah Dark, he is now the title of Ghost King? That one I don't believe. They never refer, at no point in the show do they bring up the thing of oh, you beat the Ghost King, now you're the Ghost King. They never bring that up again. They call him the Chosen One, they call him the Great One, at least Frostbite and his people do. But there's never a point where you get this sense of Danny totally did a lot of great things. He earned that title. Like, he earned the title of the Ghost King. That never becomes, at no point, a thing. So, yeah, I don't believe that one. Now, I do think in the Dark Timeline, he definitely got the title of Ghost King, but not here. So think of those questions, Luke. Moving on now to Swift Blitz 887, who asks, top 5 Danny Phantom characters. Alright, I guess we're going to just refer to anything. Stretching out my back real fast. I am going to say, for first off, I'm not going to put him in any specific order, also. I'm going to say Ember. She's always a cool villain. I am going to say Valerie. Danny himself. Danny with an I. And... Technus, yeah. There you go. Second question. Could you see Danny Phantom joining the Teen Titans? Oh, there are so many fanfictions of that. There are so many fanfictions of that. And yes, any incarnation, whether it be comic book or cartoon, absolutely, I could 100% see that being a thing. Like, no doubt in my mind. So, yeah. Third question. Favorite power of Danny's? Favorite power of Danny's? I would have to say... when he got the frost powers, that was always cool. I'm always down for an ice themed character. So when he got the freezing powers, I thought that was pretty cool. That was probably my favorite, but I like all of his powers. Anyway, there you go. Thank you for those questions, Swift Blitz. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011. What's up, brother? First question. Who would you have liked to have seen guest star in the show? Oh, there's so many. There were so many people I would have loved to have seen in the show. There are so many people I would have absolutely loved to have seen appear in the show as guest stars. For starters, I think Robert Englund should have played Nocturne. I really do think they should have tried to get Robert Englund to voice Nocturne, the dream ghost. Would have been so perfect. Tony Todd is another. Jeffrey Combs. I would say Lance Henriksen. No, did Lance Henriksen show up? I know they got David Carradine. But did they get Lance? I feel like they got Lance Henriksen for a role. I know they also had Michael Dorn for the Black Knight. But I can't remember if they had... I want to say they had Lance Henriksen. If not, Lance Henriksen should have been Walker. Anyway, I digress. So those are, like, a lot of horror actors. A lot of, like, horror actors, because it was, like, it meant to be a spooky show, so it would have stood to it would have made so much sense. Another one, I forget his name, but the actor who played the Wishmaster. He would have been great, too. So, yeah, like, for real, I definitely think that should have been the case. Is that we should have got more horror voice actors. Second question. What are some of the first episodes you watched? The first episode I watched was actually the first episode. I distinctly remember I was spending the night with my cousins. I was much younger. And we watched the premiere of Danny Phantom. And I basically followed the first few episodes, like the show from beginning to end. It was, for all its ups and downs. So yeah. I thought it was a cool concept from the get-go. Anyway, third question. How do you think some of the ghosts in Danny's Rogues Gallery died in the first place? I'm going to say the little ghost from the 50s, he probably died of a bullying accident. Desiree, we know kind of her origin. Ember probably died in a band accident, like a fire. Skulker, I like to think Skulker wanted to be a hunter, like a great hunter, and show how strong he is, but his body was so, like, wrecked with disease or some kind of, like, debilitating illness that made him incapable of doing so. So in the Ghost Zone, he, like, reimagined himself with this big-ass mech suit. And Walker was probably killed in a prison riot. Just a few ideas like that. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Bill, who asks... Who would you want to write a Danny Phantom ongoing comic? Ooh, I like that. I really like that question. So who would I have? Well, for starters, the first and foremost person I would get to write Danny, my first and foremost pick would be Cody Ziegler. Cody Ziegler, for those who don't know, he is the current writer of the new Miles Morales, the current Miles Morales Spider-Man comic. He's really solid at voicing young characters and making them very relatable, regardless of who they are. I really like his voice for Miles, and I think Ziegler would do a great job doing a Danny Phantom cast. He's really great with doing a great ensemble cast, too. So, absolutely. Yeah, there you go. So Cody Ziegler is my first and foremost one. My next pick for writer would be Tom Taylor. I think Tom Taylor is another one who does great with young adult characters, and I think he would really like to tackle some social issues with Danny as well. So Tom Taylor would be my runner-up. And finally, I would like to see Joshua Williamson. Most of you guys would know best from he's doing almost everything at DC Comics, and he's currently writing G.I. Joe for Image. So there you go. Williamson, Ziegler, and Taylor. Those are my 3 picks. Second question. Aside from Vlad, who is your favorite Danny Phantom villain? I know a lot of people say Ember, and she's great, but I'd say Technus, honestly. Technus was a lot of fun. I love his technopathic abilities, and I really enjoy just how insane he could be sometimes. So yeah, Technus. I would also say Skulker's another fun one. Yeah. Third question. Did you ever find the Box Ghost annoying, or did he grow on you as the show went on? I never found him annoying. I was like, that's just his character. He's just meant to be the joke. So, yeah, Box Ghost never annoyed me, and I think he also had some really great lines here and there. I think he had some genuinely funny lines, to be honest. Anyway. Thinking of those questions, Bill. Moving on now to Brittany Digger, who asks, how would you fix Season 3? I would kick Butch Hartman off as soon as possible. Yeah. Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I think what I would like to do... I do like the idea of the Mayor Vlad thing, but I think it was a little too forced. I think the season ender was pretty... I think Ghost Planet... I think we all agree Ghost Planet was pretty shit, so I wouldn't go that route. I would also try... Maybe not have Vlad as mayor, but probably run for governor. Maybe. Just have... something like that. Also, I think Danny would probably... I'd probably make Danny less... He got a little immature in that season, so I think I'd tone that down. Anyway, thank you for that question. Moving on to your second, which is, what are your thoughts on Butch Hartman, and what would you want him... And would you want him to return as showrunner or not? I don't think that's a proper question for this kind of thing, but Butch Hartman can go fuck himself, and I don't want him to return for a reboot. That's all I'm going to say on the matter. Third and final question. What are your top 5 favorite moments in the show? Probably when Danny went to space, when he was fighting Technus, when he became that, or he became a satellite. I think that was a good one. I think when he first went into space, he's like, I'm an astronaut! And I don't know why that makes me so... it makes me so, joyful, seeing him, so happy. I would probably say, that's one. Another would be when Danny fought, used his ice powers for the first time, and fought Undergrowth. Another good, solid villain. Who else? What else? That's 2. Probably... I can't really think of, moments that really jump out to me as favorites. Probably, I would say, Danny's first fight with Vlad. That's a solid one. And I would say Ember's song. Yeah, remember is like we still all play. Don't lie. We still go back to that every now and again. So don't even lie to me. Anyway, and finally, I would say when Danny defeated the Ghost King. There you go. Thank you for those questions, Brittany. Moving on now to Cyborg 19.99, who asks, Danny Phantom versus Demona, who would win? Well, I'm going to give this one to Demona on a multitude of levels. One, she's immortal. Danny can't kill her even if he wanted to. He has that no... I don't know if Danny would have a no-kill rule, because a lot of his enemies are ghosts. They're already dead. But even if he wanted to kill her, he can't. Also, Demona has a lot of knowledge, thousands of years of the knowledge of the arcane, so she'd probably whip out some spell that would fuck him up. Yeah, give this one to Demona. Second question. What would it be like if Vlad Plasmius stayed on Earth instead of going to space? Oh, he would either be captured by the guys in white, or, he would probably be ostracized and lose all of his money, or he'd run for president and win. Just gonna hold on that silence a little longer. Anyway, those are just a few ideas. Third question. What are other... God. Every time. What are other cartoon, anime, video games, and movies you'd like to see cross over Danny Phantom? I guess cartoon, Gravity Falls. I would say anime, Corpse Party for the lulz. Video game, Silent Hill. And movie... I don't know. Fucking Pulp Fiction? Sure. Man. Every time. That is such a low blow question. So thank you for that question. Those questions, regardless. Cyborg. Moving on now to Christopher Rosa, whose first question is: one of the things I really dislike about the series is that Mr. Lancer, one of the teachers, favored the popular kids and would often let them get away with their troublemaking. How would you have done a story where Mr. Lancer and the popular kids have gotten karma for their actions? Well, Lancer got a lot of his karma. Remember, like throughout the show, he would just get a shit ton of karma, no matter what. Just constantly, thrown under the bus every time. I would say, though, that I think Lancer would probably... Like, I'd love to have, like, a superintendent character come in and being like, Lancer! Superintendent Chalmers! What are you doing outside of Springfield? Right? I think... Would that be the most funniest shit ever? Anyway, second question. Many fans dislike Sam and Tucker for their flaws. How would you have fixed their flaws by still keeping them true to their character? Tucker, I wouldn't make such a fucking creep. Let's get that one out first. I wouldn't make Tucker a fucking yeah. I wouldn't make Tucker a fucking weird-ass, almost borderline stalker creep. Sam, I also would tone down the social issue stuff. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to say like she's some woke SJW. I think that was the idea, is to make fun of her. It was like, oh, she's a liberal, ha ha ha. I definitely would make her more conscious and not being trying to, like, let's change the menu. Like, going to extremes. That's what I don't like. And I know that was supposed to be a joke. It wasn't funny. But, yeah. Anyway, so those are just a few things. Anyway, third question. How would you have written a crossover Danny Phantom in My Life as a Teenage Robot? Okay. How would I have done that? I think what I'd like to do is... what would I like to do with this? I think what I would have done is that this would be the time where Danny's still kind of treated as like a, he's a menace or something, and Vlad would be like, oh, I know what to do to get under Danny's skin. I'll have a real superhero show up in Amity Park and be like, hey, how about I endorse her, and she cleans up the crime faster than this ghost menace, and it just gets under Danny's craw, and it just ends into like almost like a borderline Batman v Superman, something like that. Yeah. Thank you for those questions, thank you for those questions, Rosa. Moving on now to David Deister, whose first question is: how would you revive Danny Phantom? I think what I would do, the closest thing I could do with a revival, is probably something along the lines of, I think probably have it just like Danny in his college years. I take a lot of... Remember the MTV Spider-Man cartoon? Do you guys remember... Yeah, that MTV Spider-Man cartoon where it was like Peter in the college years? Like, I would play with that, but with Danny. And maybe have like old villains, some new villains, and Danny trying to balance, like, yeah, I have my identity is known by my family, and also talk about, like, yeah, now my family is going to be worried about me from here on out, and also I'm going to be essentially, like, my family trying to cope with that, and also I'm trying to balance superhero life with me being an adult, because I'm like, because Danny's going to be like, I don't know if I want to be a superhero forever. I've been doing this since I was 14 fucking years old. Spider-Man can do his own thing, but I don't know if I want to either, you know? I don't know if I want that to be my future either. I think that's the angle I'd go with. Just a loose idea. Second question. Who would you cast in a live-action Danny Phantom movie? No fucking idea. I really do suck at live-action casting for the most part. I know everyone's going to say Tom Holland because, you know, we can't think of anything better. Yeah, that every time I'm not gonna cast Tom Holland because he played Spider-Man, so he could play Danny Phantom, and he's young and he's good. Every time there's a new hotness actor, that we always just get the fan casting for that one, right? So yeah, I don't know who I'd get, but it wouldn't be Tom Holland. Second question: who would you cast? Oh, that was the second question. Shit, sorry. Third question: how would you do a Danny Phantom Ghostbusters crossover? Danny Phantom and Ghostbusters. I think what I would do for... I think what I would like to do for it is have it that maybe the Ghostbusters are brought to Amity Park because it's just high levels of ghost activity. And I would have it that that Jack and Maddie are jealous of the Ghostbusters because it's like, we're doing the same thing you do, and you get all the credit, and we get nothing. Like, we're treated like a bunch of, like, you know, nut jobs. Like, what the hell is this? I don't get it. Like, and to which Venkman would be like, well, I think we're just more photogenic, you know? You know, I think we just know better how to sell merchandise. And I definitely have, like, maybe, there would be a Ghostbusters Danny fight, but, you know, an eventual team-up. Anyway, thank you for those questions, David. Moving on now to Gordon Rajani, who asks, favorite episodes of Danny Phantom? Fanning the Flames is a good one. I can't remember it, but the time Valerie and Danny almost got together, and it was involved with Technus. I can't remember. Skulkers. Any episode with Skulker was pretty solid for the most part. I'd also say the Undergrowth episode. Yeah, those few come to mind. Second question. Were you a shipper of Sam and Danny or Danny and Valerie? Gonna be honest, it was Danny and Valerie. I mean, I like Danny and Sam, and I knew, like, we all knew from the get-go that they were gonna be the OTP, right? Right? I think we all agree that they were the OTP, but for the most part, I think we all kind of knew, like, it was kind of cool. And I heard a rumor that they were gonna go with Danny and Valerie for a bit longer than one episode, and what happened was, and I can't prove this. This is a rumor I heard, and if so, fuck you, Butch, is that the reason why they couldn't do Danny and Valerie was because Butch Hartman didn't like the idea of having an interracial couple. Let that sink in for a second. If that's true, holy fuck you, Hartman. Like, fuck you even more for your thoughts on like vaccines and autism. Like vaccines causing autism, or just like you can pray mental illness away, you know, go fuck yourself for that. But that? Fuck you, you piece of shit, if that's real. Yeah. I cannot confirm, but that's just shit I've heard. I can't 100%, I can't believe it. I can't put stock in it. But if it's real, fuck you, man. Anyway. So, Danny and Valerie, it just felt better. Like, they played off of each other way better. And I just liked how their personalities matched better than with Sam, who seemed like she was always a hair trigger away from doing something incredibly stupid. Anyway. So, that's just my 2 cents. Third question. So since a lot of people like to pair up Danny with Jake Long and Randy Cunningham, how would you think an actual team-up between the three of them would go down? I don't know what the cause would be or what the story would be, but I think what I'd like to do is probably like have the three of them just like come together like Superman, like not so much like Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman, but more like like Steve, Thor, and Tony, where the three of them, you know, can just bro out and, you know, just kind of hang around and be like, oh man, that was really cool, huh? Like, just have the three of them just, you know, shoot the shit. Like, just have, like, downtime. Like the Trinity. Yeah, like, why did I make it, like, Marvel? It'd also be like DC. Whatever. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Gordon. Moving on now to Hunter Johnson, who asks, what if Noob Saibot was a part of Danny's Rogues Gallery? Probably wouldn't be fun. Yeah. Mostly because Noob isn't really a ghost. He's a revenant, so I don't think that would trigger Danny's ghost sense. It'd be almost like a Venom thing, where it's like Danny's now fighting an opponent that could come at him and he can't sense it coming. You know, he could just walk through the shadow and just, like, come out and attack, you know, just be like, ha-ha, stab you. Something like that. Second question. What would Danny think of the Spectre? What would Danny think of the Spectre? I think he would be like, holy shit, wow. It's the Spectre is like the embodiment of God's wrath and God's judgment, and he is on another level for Danny. And I think Danny would just kind of be up in awe at him, like, holy shit. And the Spectre would be like, hello, you're so insignificant. Like, I straight up think the Spectre wouldn't even give him a notice. That's just my thoughts. Third question. How would you do a Danny Phantom crossover? A Danny Phantom Gravity Falls crossover, excuse me. I guess what I would do is probably have, I don't know, like Vlad trying to steal some stuff from Gravity Falls or the portal. And Danny goes, I don't know. This is the problem when I get asked crossover questions. I don't mind them, but the problem is I can't think of shit right out the gate. Like, I can't think of anything, like, really good right out the gate. So, that's just kind of the idea I can think of right off the top of my head. So, moving on now to Tom Hibbert, who asks, would you say Dark Danny was the original Danny turned evil, or just Danny's powers corrupted and given sentience? I think it's a bit of both, because even, like, when you watch it in the origin, it's like Danny's ghost self getting corrupted by Vlad, or was it always evil? I don't know. Like, it's kind of hard to tell if that's the case. I really don't know if that was the thought process or not, but it was definitely like, is it his ghost self and just corrupted by Vlad's evil? Like, a piece of Vlad embedded itself into his psyche or something like that. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say, but it's still cool. Second question. Nickelodeon would have been very open about video games based on their franchises, like some good ones like TMNT Shredder's Revenge, and pretty bad ones like Avatar Quest for Balance. If you could make a Danny Phantom video game, how would you do it? Oh, how would I make a Danny Phantom video game? Oh boy. A Danny Phantom video. I think I'd make it open world. I think I would, like, you would have to give this to a solid game company. First off, like an open world kind of, like, almost like Arkham Asylum, free, like, open world kind of storytelling, just not as dark. Have, like, fun side quests. Make it a lot, like, take a lot of inspiration from the Sony Spider-Man games. That's what I would love to do, is, like, make it almost like that, and also take the idea of, like, this is now a Danny Phantom in college, and you have, like, you can go to Amity Park, and it's also, you have, like, a campus ground, like the Amity College campus ground. You can, you know, you can do follow-ups with other villains, things like that. And also upgrade his powers, create new ones, make combos. That's what I would like. That's kind of a genuine idea. A kind of general idea I would play with. Unfortunately, I don't think so. Like, Nickelodeon would shell out the money for something like that. Third question: If you were ever were you ever angered by the fact that in Danny Phantom Planet, Danny's friends just being nasty for Danny after losing his powers and telling him that he's less cool, despite the fact he's going through some issues at the time? Yeah, what the fuck was that? Yeah, no, really, what the fuck was any of that? I really don't know where that came from. I'm like, you guys were friends with him before he lost his powers, remember? Like, I don't get it. Like, I legit don't get why the sudden heel turn. Like, why did Sam suddenly decide, I don't want to fuck you because you're not a ghost anymore? Do you just have a ghost kink? Did you read the Soul to Take trilogy and just went, cool, I want to fuck ghosts now? Why did I bring up that horrible, like, demon smut porn? Damn it, my girlfriend read those, and now I know what those mean. Don't look those up. It's pretty dirty. Yeah, that just pissed me off. It just showcases Phantom Planet sucks. Yeah, so thank you for those questions, Tom. Moving on to Dominique Fuentes, who asks, would Gentleman Ghost fit as a Danny Phantom villain? 100%, yeah, I really do think Gentleman Ghost would make a solid Danny Phantom villain. I think, he would definitely be like, I think Danny would be like, so, what do I call you? Do I call you Fancy Pants or something ridiculous? Gentleman Jim Craddock at your service. Oh, of course you have the fedora and top hat. I'm sure if I could see your face, you'd probably have like a beard and call women milady. And Craddock would just look at me and go, you know, I was just going to be kind to you, good sir, but now I'm going to hit you really hard. Yeah. So, I absolutely 100%. Second question. If Danny Phantom had encountered demons, vampires, werewolves, zombies, and ghouls, what would Danny's reaction be like? I was kind of surprised we only got ghosts and, you know, occasional human villains. You know, I really think it would have been cool if, like, Danny's whole world got opened up to other monsters. Like, his reaction to, like, vampires or... I don't think we'd get demons, but I do think we'd get vampires and werewolves. I think that would be a solid one of, getting, you know, vampires and werewolves. I do think that's I think those would have been really cool, and I think it would have been like Danny wouldn't be shocked. I think he'd be surprised, but also he wouldn't be like, I'm not too shocked. Like, I'm shocked. Well, not too shocked, but still. I think that would be his reaction. Yeah. Third question. What original characters for Danny Phantom would you create? Probably, like, maybe another ghost character. Not a villain, but more like, I think what I would create in terms of, like, a, you know, like another character in the Ghost Zone who's, like, his whole thing is that he's basically like a, monitor of the Ghost Zone. It's like he watches, like, he's a monitor of the Ghost Zone, and he basically has been, like, keeping the balance between order and chaos. And I think he would be like, he wants to he's not a villain. He'd just be like, I want to see if you're hot shit. Like, I want to, like, I heard you beat the Ghost King and whatnot, and I'm here to see if you will be an agent of chaos or an agent of order. So I think I want to test you and put Danny through all these trials to see if he's, like, going to be a threat to... And I would even have it that Clockwork is like, yeah, that's, you know, he's the Lord of Order in the Ghost Zone. And he does... And Danny would even be like, so why didn't you help me when, like, Pariah Dark happened? Or the fucking Ghost Meteor? You know, where were you during all that shit? And, I don't know what I'd call him, but the Lord of Order would be like, I can't interfere with those because those are, you know, fixed moments in reality. Now, if something came out of reality, I was going to step in with the Ghost King returning. Like he said, like, yeah, I was half a click away from stepping in, but you showed up, and I was curious. So, yeah, just, like, not a villain, but more like, I don't know, like Danny would be like, I don't know if this dude is, like, on the up and up, but he seems like he wants to help or not. Like, he would be kind of a neutral figure. That's just my idea. Thank you for those questions, Dominique. Moving on to our final set of questions coming from Lamonta Benson, who asks, what if Jazz got ghost powers and was the main character instead of Danny? Probably be a lot more boring. I'm sorry to say. Jazz is cool, and I think her as a therapist is really cool. That's why in the Infinityverse, we made Jazz, like, the top therapist for the superheroes. Even referring to her wing on the superhero base as Sanctuary, as a reference to Heroes in Crisis. But yeah. But yeah, as a ghost character, I don't think it would have worked. Second question. Who is your favorite villain of the show that's not Vlad? Probably Skulker. Yeah, I always love hunter characters, so I'd say Skulker. Following behind that, probably Technus too. Third question: who is the most annoying character you believe that's in the show? Tucker. Yeah, no doubt about it, Tucker. Just not even like a second, not even a second thought. Anyway, guys, so that pretty much wraps up our Q&A. That wraps up our Danny Phantom Q&A. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions. And again, if you guys would like to have be part of the next one, just hit the link below in the description box. Hit the first tier. That'll have you access to do so. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.